What if the monster didn't attack you? What if it loved you? And what if that love slowly killed you? In a lonely castle deep in Europe, a young girl welcomes a mysterious guest. She is beautiful, she is gentle, she is hiding something. And by the time the truth is revealed, it's already too late. This is the story of Carmilla. A story that doesn't rely on sudden shocks or loud horror, but instead builds something far more unsettling. Something slow, something intimate, something that quietly takes hold of you before you even realize what's happening. Laura lives in isolation. Her home is a distant castle, surrounded by forests so vast and silent that they feel endless. No nearby villages within reach, no constant visitors, no movement of life beyond the trees, just stillness. At first, that kind of life feels calm, peaceful, even. But over time, that peace begins to change. It becomes quiet in a way that feels heavy. The kind of quiet that makes every thought louder. The kind of quiet that slowly turns into loneliness. And loneliness has a way of shaping what we accept. Because when you are alone long enough, connection stops being a choice. It becomes a need. Laura has grown used to this life. But there is one memory that has never truly left her. A night from her childhood. She woke up suddenly, unable to move, unable to speak. And in the darkness of her room, she was not alone. A woman stood beside her bed, beautiful in a way that felt unnatural. Calm, composed, watching her with an expression that was neither kind nor cruel, just knowing. The woman moved closer, sat beside her, and then there was pain, sharp, sudden, unmistakable, right in her chest, and then nothing. By morning, it felt like a dream, something distant, something her mind could not fully hold on to, but the feeling remained. That sense that something had happened, something real. Years pass. Life continues in the same slow rhythm. Until one night, something breaks that routine. A carriage accident occurs near the castle. In the darkness, under confusion and urgency, a young girl is brought into Laura's home. Her mother speaks quickly, almost nervously, as if time itself is chasing her. She cannot stay, she says. There are reasons she cannot explain, but she asks for one thing. Let her daughter remain here, just for a while, until she recovers. There is no time for questions, no time for understanding. And just like that, the girl becomes part of the castle. Her name is Carmilla. From the very first moment, something feels different. Not wrong, not immediately frightening, just intense. Carmilla speaks softly, with a calmness that feels almost too perfect. Her movements are graceful, controlled, as if nothing she does is accidental. When asked about her past, she gives answers that feel incomplete, vague, carefully limited. It's subtle, but it's there. And yet, that's not what leaves the deepest impression. It's the way she looks at Laura. Not like a stranger, not even like a new friend, but like someone who already knows her. As if this meeting is not the beginning of something, but the continuation of something that started long ago. Very quickly, they grow close, closer than expected. Carmilla fills the emptiness that has always surrounded Laura's life. The silence that once felt suffocating begins to disappear. There is conversation now, presence, a sense of being understood. For the first time in a long time, Laura doesn't feel alone, but closeness can change. It can deepen, and sometimes it can become something harder to escape. Carmilla's attention becomes constant, focused, unbroken. She wants to be near Laura at all times. Her gaze lingers longer than it should. Her words begin to carry a kind of intensity that feels difficult to explain. She speaks of their connection as if it is permanent, as if it was never a choice, as if it cannot be undone. "You are mine," she whispers one evening, her voice soft, almost gentle, but certain. Not a request, a statement. At first, Laura feels confused, then slightly uneasy, but she doesn't step away, because alongside that unease, there is something else. Comfort, warmth, a feeling of being seen in a way she has never experienced before. And that feeling is powerful. Powerful enough to make doubt feel like overthinking. Powerful enough to make warning signs feel distant. But slowly, things begin to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, quietly, almost invisibly. Laura begins to feel tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. Something deeper. Something that feels like it's coming from inside her. Her body grows weaker with each passing day. Her thoughts feel slower, heavier. And then, the dreams return. The same dreams from childhood. A presence in the room. A figure beside her bed. Eyes watching her in silence. And every time, that same sharp pain in her chest. When she wakes up, the feeling doesn't disappear. It lingers, as if something is being taken from her, little by little. At the same time, beyond the castle, something else is happening. In nearby villages, young women are falling ill. Their symptoms are the same. Weakness, strange dreams, a slow, unexplained decline. And then, they are gone. No clear reason, no visible cause, just a pattern, repeating again and again. Laura begins to feel the connection, not clearly, not logically, but instinctively. Something inside her starts to question everything. The timing, the symptoms, the presence of Carmilla. But here's what makes it truly unsettling. Even as those questions grow stronger, so does her attachment. That's the trap. Because Carmilla doesn't feel like a threat. She doesn't chase. She doesn't attack in ways that are obvious. She stays close. She speaks gently. She creates a space where fear and comfort exist together. And in that space, it becomes difficult to separate the two. Laura hesitates. She doubts herself. Because how can someone who brings so much comfort also be the source of something so destructive? But the signs keep building. Carmilla sleeps through the day in unnatural stillness. At night, she becomes more alive, more present, more intense. Sometimes, Laura wakes up and finds her nearby, watching her, silent, unmoving. And every time, that same question echoes. Why? Why her? Why this connection? Why does it feel both right and wrong at the same time? Eventually, the situation reaches a point where it can no longer be ignored. Laura's condition worsens. The pattern outside the castle becomes undeniable, and others begin to take notice. Her father, driven by concern, begins searching for answers. Alongside a general who has experienced a similar loss, they begin to uncover a pattern that stretches beyond a single place or time. What they find is not comforting. It is something ancient, something that has existed for far longer than they understand. A presence that moves silently, from place to place, repeating the same cycle, building trust, forming connections, and then, slowly, taking everything. The truth becomes unavoidable. Carmilla is not what she appears to be. She is something that exists beyond the natural world. And yet, she blends into it perfectly. That is what makes her dangerous. Not her strength, not her nature, but her ability to become part of someone's life so deeply that by the time the truth is clear, leaving feels impossible. They follow the clues, trace her path, and eventually, they find where she rests. A hidden tomb, sealed away, forgotten by time. When they open it, they expect stillness, decay, an ending. But what they see instead feels wrong. Carmilla lies there as if she's asleep, unchanged, untouched. There is a faint expression on her face, calm, almost satisfied, as if everything that happened was part of a design, as if every moment unfolded exactly as it was meant to. And in that moment, the illusion finally breaks. There is no more doubt, no more confusion, only reality. Cold, clear, unavoidable. What follows is final, decisive, an end to something that should never have begun. And just like that, the pattern stops. The strange illnesses fade, the unexplained deaths end, the silence returns. But it is not the same silence as before, because something has changed. Not in the world outside, but inside Laura. The memories remain, the feelings remain, and that is the part that does not fade. Because what she experienced was not just fear, it was connection, something that felt real, even if it came from something dangerous. And that raises a question far more unsettling than anything else in this story. If something slowly destroys you, but at the same time makes you feel understood, less alone, seen in a way nothing else ever has, would you recognize it as danger? Or would you hold on to it just a little longer? That is the true horror of Carmilla. Not the presence of a monster, but the idea that danger doesn't always look like danger. Sometimes it feels like comfort. Sometimes it feels like connection. Sometimes it feels like love. And by the time you begin to question it, by the time something inside you finally whispers that something is wrong, it has already taken more than you ever realized. And the most terrifying part? You may not even wish it had never come. And by the time you begin to question it, by the time something inside you finally whispers that something is wrong, it has already taken more than you ever realized. And the most terrifying part? You may not even wish it had never come. Because some connections, no matter how dangerous, leave something behind. Something that stays with you. Something that changes you forever. And maybe that's why stories like Carmilla were considered so disturbing. Not just because of what they show, but because of what they make you feel. So, here's the question for you. If you were in that castle, if you felt that same connection, would you have walked away? Or would you have let it stay just a little longer? If you enjoyed this dark and disturbing story, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. This is V-Banned Brilliant Bold Banished, where we explore books that are banned, controversial, and too powerful to ignore. And before you go, tell me in the comments, would you have trusted Carmilla?